Hey guys, this is Kevin over at jazztime.com. Jazztime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. We offer the lowest prices anywhere online, and if you want to know the price of the watch, simply click on the links in the description below. If you enjoy our videos, we greatly appreciate it if you would buy a watch from jazztime.com once in a while. Alright, so today we're going to be doing a review on the Rolex Sea-Dweller. Recently released in the two-tone yellow gold. This is the model number 126603. And by recently released, I mean earlier this year at the Baselworld 2019 show is when this watch was unveiled. So we'll be reviewing the dial, bezel, case, crown, bracelet, clasp, and we'll talk about the movement towards the end of the video. Alright, so jumping right into the dial, we have the sportier style dial, which is what Rolex refers to as the maxi dial. So very beautiful glossy black dial with juxtaposition from the white lume of the hour markers. So we have circular hour markers with indices 6, 9, and a triangular 12 at the 12 o'clock position. The lume filled hour hand, Mercedes hour hand with the minute hand, along with the tipping of the second hand, are all filled with a highly legible chromolite display with long-lasting blue luminescence. And actually, I can actually show you that. Let me just go ahead and shut off one of these lights here and cover that up. And there we are. You can see the nice blue luminescence from each of the hour markers on the hands, hour, minute, and second hand, and even on the period at the 12 o'clock position on the bezel as well, on the ceramic bezel. So that luminescence will last up to 8 hours, so you have easy visibility during the day and also easy visibility during the night. And of course, as this is a Sea-Dweller, a diver's watch, and you have easy visibility underwater as well with that blue luminescence. The date window has a Cyclops lens, where the date is located at the 3 o'clock position. That Cyclops lens sits on top of that sapphire crystal for magnification and easier viewing of that date. As this watch is the Sea-Dweller 43, it's very similar to the steel version that came out fairly recently. Well, not really fairly recently. It was more like in 2017, the 50th anniversary Sea-Dweller was released, and this is sort of just a two-tone version of that with just touches of yellow gold in various areas. And those various areas, as I mentioned, was the fashioning of the hour markers to prevent tarnishing, but also at the 6 o'clock position where the Sea-Dweller name exists there on the 2017 anniversary edition that was labeled in a red as a sort of a throwback to the previous Sea-Dweller that used to have that text in red, but instead we have a glinted version to match with the two-tone version of this watch. So very beautiful glinting, contrasting off that glossy black dial, and looks very nice and definitely in place with the rest of the watch. As we move on to the bezel now, the bezel is a black ceramic bezel. The gradations from the 60 seconds all the way around from the Arabic numerals and indices are all nicely touched with 18 karat yellow gold as well to match with the two-tone aesthetic. Specifically for the bezel itself, it is a unidirectional bezel, as this is a diver's watch, as I mentioned once more. The unidirectional means that it can only turn to the left and cannot turn to the right. As you can see, I cannot shift it over to the right, and it can only turn to the left. The purpose of the unidirectional bezel is to track elapsed time. So such things for the main example is as if you're diving underwater, you need to track, let's say you had 10 minutes left of oxygen, you can just set the period to the minute hand and then track the 10 minutes from there. You can see from the indices marking 5 minutes at each 5-minute increments in each indice with Arabics for each even indice. And then you can track it from there. And of course you can't shift it over to the right, because just in case you accidentally bump the bezel into something, you don't want to give a misrepresentation of the elapsed time. So that's what the bezel is used for, but it is a beautiful black ceramic bezel, as we've seen with most modern sports pieces from Rolex, such as the Submariner, the Deep Sea, the Daytona, all have this beautiful, nice, glossy black ceramic bezel that matches with the glossy black dial as well. One thing I did forget to mention about the dial is at the 6 o'clock position, there is the Swiss made right here. The Swiss made, while it's just a very small detail, they've actually notified the update of the movement by adding the little crown symbol right between the Swiss made, whereas the previous model of the previous model before the steel version of this watch only just had the regular Swiss made put together without the crown in the center. It's just to indicate the update of the movement. Specifically for this watch is an update to a 32-35 movement, which I'll talk about later in the video. So moving on to the case size now. The case size is a 43mm size watch. So from my index finger to my thumb here, that's 43mm in diameter. And here is the side profile. You can see it sits a little bit high. Will sit a little bit high on the wrist, but should still fit under suit cuffs, dress cuffs very nicely, as it isn't as high as a deep sea. I would love to show you guys on my caliper, but actually my caliper is currently out of commission right now, so I won't be able to show you the exact sizing of the thickness of the watch, but you can but I'll be able to show you later on the wrist to see how high that sits off the wrist. But we have beautiful high polishing on the crown guards on the side of the case as well. You can see a nice beautiful high polish matching with the sides of the bracelet with that same high polish. We have the helium escape valve here located at the 9 o'clock position of the watch. And for those who don't know what the helium escape valve is for, the helium escape valve is when divers go deep sea diving, they need to come up through a depressurization chamber, and that depressurization chamber does have a mixture of gases to help with that depressurization. One of those gases is helium, and helium back when these watches were first starting out, the helium would actually be able to go get into the watch, actually pop out that crystal. So Rolex developed this ingenious way of having this, what this is called the helium escape valve, where the watch reaches a certain bar of pressure inside of the watch. The valve spring automatically opens up and lets that helium out, therefore protecting your watch from that sort of pressure of gases building up into it and popping that crystal out. So, and that was made very long ago as well. So very interesting technology made by Rolex, specifically for the Sea-Dweller watch. One thing I do want to mention though is some people, I did read some forum comments around various forums and such, and I do see that the general idea for some people is like, they don't really like the two-tone of the watch. The two-tone of the gold doesn't really match onto the Sea-Dweller. It doesn't really belong in sports piece, but guys, this watch looks fantastic, and there have been a few customers that we've had that do have a larger size wrist than the typical average size wrist, which I always say in my videos is about 7-inch wrist. And some people do like wearing larger watches. That's why the Deep Sea exists. That's why they upgraded the Sea-Dweller to the 43mm. And if your only option was getting a Submariner, like a 116613, which is a two-tone Submariner, that's a 40mm, maybe somebody wanted something larger, and this is the perfect fit for someone who wants to wear a large watch but doesn't want the same thickness as a Deep Sea, doesn't have that same sort of weightiness to it and heaviness to it. They just wanted something in between a Submariner, something in between that Submariner and that Deep Sea, but still have a little bit of more elegance to it. And that's where this two-tone watch steps in. It has that 43mm size, fits very nicely on larger wrists, and also can be more fashionable, more showy than they want. So this 43 Sea-Dweller doesn't make sense for some people, but there are a group of people that this watch is a perfect fit for. So moving on to the crown before I move on to the bracelet there. I almost jumped ahead. So the crown is located here at the 3 o'clock position between the crown guards. You can see the Rolex crown symbol there with the trip lock waterproofness system indicated by the 3 dots right underneath that crown logo. And that's simply unwound by going counterclockwise as shown. There we are. So in this standard position is where you can actually wind your watch. About 15 to 20 clockwise turns is all you need is to get the watch started once more. Pulling the crown out to the next position will allow you to adjust the date instantaneously as shown. Very quickly, very easy to use. And then pulling the crown out to the final position will allow you to adjust the hands bidirectionally. And you'll see the stopping of the second hand as well for precise time setting. And what I mean by stopping the second sentence for precise time setting is that you can set the time exactly down to an atomic clock online, or even your iPhone clock. You can set it down to the exact seconds and just start that second hand once more by pressing in the crown again. And then if that didn't work out properly, just pull that crown out again, and you can see the stopping the second hand very easily. You can adjust the hands bidirectionally, set the time however you like. Press the crown back in and start it once more, and then screw the crown nice and tight in against the case, as you want to keep this watch of water resistance, as indicated at the 6 o'clock position right underneath that Sea-Dweller name, the 4,000 feet or 1,220 meters. All right, moving on to the bracelet now. So bracelet, nicely proportioned bracelet from satin finish on the outer of the 3-piece links to a nice high polished down the center on the yellow gold. This is a Oyster style bracelet, of course, and you can see that patterning goes throughout the whole bracelet, even onto the clasp. You can see that nice satin finish on the outer edges, and then the high polish going straight down the middle, all the way onto the other side, nicely proportioned from tapering from the first link downwards to have that nice proportional view overall. Let me pull this watch back further so you can see that the tapering looks very, very nice and keeps it within proportion. And that was actually one of the problems on the deep sea and the older style Sea-Dweller, is that you had this large case, but then you had this it had tapering on the lugs downwards to the back to have sort of a proportional view, but it just wasn't right. They actually corrected it on the newer styles, which is the 126660. What they've done is actually for these links, the center link is actually a little bit a millimeter larger on each side, and the outer of the links are a little bit smaller on each side. You can kind of see it on the Sea-Dweller, as well as the thinness of the outer links and the thickness of the inner links as well helps with that proportional view. And that's, like I said, that was updated on the more recent models of the deep sea and the Sea-Dweller. Moving on to the clasp now. The clasp, two-tone clasp, even onto the safety lock here, we have the safety folding Oyster lock. Simply opens up by right underneath that Rolex crown logo, opens up that safety, opens up the clasp as a folding Oyster, revealing this nicely high polished clasp blade with the Rolex name embossed on there. So let me show you. That's how the watch looks all the way opened up. And you can see the folding Oyster close very easily, curvature of the clasp to fit underneath the wrist very comfortably. And one thing I want to mention while we're still on the subject of the clasp here is underneath the clasp we have what's called the glide lock extension link. So basically pulling the clasp downwards at a 45-degree angle will allow you to pop it open underneath, pop open the bracelet underneath the clasp. You can see these little ridges right underneath the clasp there. And what that is the glide lock extension link. So basically you can drag the bracelet forward or backwards, inward or outward, about 2 millimeters each rivet there, for a maximum extension for 20 millimeters. So you can see how easy it is to slide and adjust. There we go. We have that little extra wiggle room there. And this is very nice. Of course, made with divers in mind. Again, mentioning that this watch is a diver's watch, so it's made with divers in mind. So if they have a wetsuit, they need to adjust the thickness of the watch on the thickness of the wetsuit onto the sizing of the bracelet. They can easily adjust it as so. But of course, for everyday use, if you're not planning on diving 4,000 feet as a water resistant states, then you can adjust it on a hot summer day. Your wrist swells up a little bit more than your typical wear size. Then you can adjust for a little more breathability on your wrist, or vice versa. On colder days, you can adjust it to be a little bit tighter so it's not shaking around. This Sea-Dweller isn't shaking around everywhere on your wrist. All right, so talking about the movement now as we move on, you can see on the back, the case back here, we have the Sea-Dweller name with the Rolex logo on the with the original escape valve sort of embossed onto the high polish of that case backing there. It is a monoblock middle case with screw down case back and winding crown. The movement is housed in there. As I mentioned, it is an updated movement because they've noted it with that Rolex crown logo at the 6 o'clock position. This is now the 32-35 movement. It used to run the standard sports piece movement of the 31-35 that had over like 10 to 20 years or so of a lifetime just being put into different Rolex watches, such as the Submariner, the 116610, or the No Day Submariner runs a different movement. But the previous models of this, so the 116600 and the 116660, those were the previous models of the Sea-Dweller and the Deep Sea, the 40 millimeter versions. Those used to run the 31-35 movement. which was that tried and tested movement. But now they've done the updates to the movement. Now it's a 32-35 movement. They seem to be updating movements across the board with other pieces as well. We have the 32-55 movement. I believe we have the 32-85 32-85 movement was a GMT movement. Now we have this 32-35 movement, which is that sports piece movement, that 31-35 movement with some different changes. So the movement itself is still a perpetual mechanical self-winding movement. It's in-house made, of course, with a precision of -2 + 2 seconds a day. As stated by Rolex here, the superlative chronometer officially certified. They like to boast about it at the 6 o'clock position that they are within the Swiss specs. Even better, because Swiss specs is about -4 + 6, and Rolex has in-house testing to get it to that -2 + 2 seconds a day. The functions of the movement, of course, are just the center, hour, minute, and seconds hand, instant changing of the date, stopping the seconds hand, as I've shown you with the crown functions. The oscillator for the watch is a paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring, and the update that they actually added to go along with that is the high performance Paraflex shock absorbers, which is this sort of shock absorbers that sits on top of the jewel on not the balance spring, but the bridge itself, that helps absorbs additional shock. The Paraflex shock absorbers are the newest change because it's an in-house change that Rolex made to make their own in-house shock absorbers instead of relying on the industry standard shock absorbers, which are the KIF shock absorbers. They also added a new escapement wheel as well. It's just called the I believe the Chronology Escapement, which is a skeletonized escapement wheel with a nickel phosphorus, made out of a nickel phosphorus. The skeletonization helps with the reduction of inertia, so it helps keep that precise timekeeping. And the fact that it's made out of a nickel phosphorus works very nicely with the paramagnetic blue parachrome hairspring in conjunction together to have additional resistance against magnetism, because if your watch does get magnetized, it does cause it to run much faster, and of course not keep time precisely. Okay, but with those changes to the movement, so that Paraflex shock absorbers, the Chronology Escapement, the power reserve has been upped because of the efficiency and energy keeping for the watch. We've moved from a 40-hour power reserve, or 40-hour power reserve, up to a 70-hour power reserve now. So you can put this watch out on a Friday evening, pick it back up on a Monday afternoon. It'll be keeping time just fine. Now let me actually go ahead and show you this watch on my wrist now. So we're going to go locate that safety folding Oyster, open that up as so, folding back on, safety on. Very simple, very easy to use, and there we are. So the Sea-Dweller, I really love the glinting of the Sea-Dweller name right in the middle there. It has a nice contrast and matches very beautifully, very nicely with the fashioning of the 18-karat yellow gold on the hour markers, and even on the usage of yellow gold on the very edge, high polish of the bezel, and on the numerals and indices themselves. It all matches very nicely. We've seen this sort of thing on, like as I said, the other sports piece models, the 116613, the two-tone Submariners. It was only a matter of time before it came on to the Sea-Dweller. Now, like I said, I'm going to mention this again. Some of you don't agree on the two-tone watch. This watch isn't for you. That's fine. Everyone has their own taste. Like I said, I believe this watch is more geared towards those with a larger size wrist that do enjoy wearing the deep sea, do enjoy wearing the Sea-Dwellers at the little bit larger sizing at the 43 millimeters instead of the 40, but they also needed the option to have a little more showiness to it, and a little more pizzazz to their watch. So instead of having this, smaller Submariner that's a 40 millimeter that has a two-tone, they can now get a Sea-Dweller that's 43, matches the wrist size a little bit better, even the thickness matches a little bit better, and still be able to show off their sports piece as well. So the Sea-Dweller is a very good option for those with larger wrists, or maybe you just have smaller wrists and you want to just show off anyways. This is still a very great watch. It looks fantastic with that two-tone. Nicely in the high polish, especially against the contrasting of the sand finish. So if you're interested in this watch or any other watch for the lowest possible price, check out our website at jazzm.com. We have the lowest prices guaranteed, and we offer a 1-year warranty. If you like our video, please like, comment, subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys soon.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to model as seen in video, click on it and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jazztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in JazzTime, plus the brand, model and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.